Hello and welcome to West Country Wanderings. Welcome to one in my canal series. I know it doesn't look like a canal at the moment, does it? I'm here in the county of Oxfordshire, well, the west of the county, kind of halfway between Swindon and the town of Didcot, where we were on the railway series the other day. But this is the church of St Mary's with its amazing, you can see that there, octagonal tower. This is called the Cathedral of the Vale of the White Horse. So yes, I'm in the North Wessex Downs area of outstanding natural beauty, here in the beautiful village of Uffington, to have a look at a section of the Wilts Berks Canal that we've not yet explored. Now I understand they've been doing some work around here recently to do with some trees, so I want to have a look at that. The other thing to say about this area, around here or near here was a branch of the Wilts Berks to a place called Longcott. Longcott is the next village from here in a kind of a northwesterly direction. I'll insert a map now. And the reason that arm, remember that there are various other arms. We've looked at the Copse branch previously and also the Chippenham branch here on West Country Wanderings in the canal series on the Wilts Berks. But there was another one that went to Longcott, and the reason that was built wasn't for bringing trade into the village there. It was a brickworks, and the brickworks was built there because they needed bricks to build the Wilts Berks, particularly things like the locks, the side of the locks, lock walls, not the gates of course, the lock walls, that sort of thing, and aqueducts, various other features on the canal. Unfortunately, I did think about doing a video over there. I can't see any rights of way in that area whatsoever, and I don't think there are any remains of the canal, but hopefully we'll be able to see something of the Wilts Berks Canal as it passed to the north here, the village of Uffington. So I hope you can join me for this little wander shorter canal series looking at the Wilts Berks near the village of Uffington in Oxfordshire. There's lots of interesting things here in the village of Uffington, not least of which is this cottage here called Benjy's Cottage, which was named after the same character's name in the book Tom Brown's School Days. I put a bit more information on that. He was called Benjamin, abbreviated to Benji, and he was a retired servant who had worked for, well, basically around the village for the Browns for many, many years in the book. But yeah, isn't that a delightful cottage here in the village of Uffington? Now, the Benjy's Cottage here actually used to be a shop selling all manner of goods, including sweets in jars. And it's said that Mr. Crosser, the owner of said shop, would bite a toffee in half to make sure the sweets balanced exactly. Remember those little scales? You put weights on them for getting out a quarter or half of some sweets. Just imagine that now. Wonderful. But we're going to continue on here through the village, heading up towards the Wilts Berks Canal. So this is the old post house in the village here, and I just love those lizards on the thatch there. That's amazing. Now this house here, large house, painted white, is called the White Horse. I wonder if that used to be a pub or a hotel or an inn. Now, as you know, I can never resist a good finger post. This one here, Oxfordshire, 5 miles from the town of Farringdon and 6 3/4 from Wantage, where there was an arm of the Wilts Berks. So there is a pub still here called the Fox and Hounds, which is a free house. Got some beautiful crocuses out there all around the huge village green here, and we have a beautiful village sign there, Uffington, ER 1952-2002. Was that Queen's whatever Jubilees, wasn't it? But we need to crack on and find our canal, and that is actually directly behind that finger post that I showed you, going to Wantage and Farringdon, and it's just down there in between the hedging and the side of that thatch cottage. So if this is the first video you've seen on the Wilts Berks Canal on my channel West Country Wanderings, welcome. This will actually be the 11th video that I've done on the Wilts Berks Canal. We've previously looked, as I said, at the Chippenham arm, the Wantage arm, and where the canal joins the Thames in Abingdon upon Thames, also here in Oxfordshire, as well as a couple of videos looking at what's going on at Swindon, which was the last one, restoration there, and the connection to the Kennet and Avon Canal at Semmington. So done quite a few, not done this section before. Now in terms of publicity, the Swindon section the Royal Wootton Bassett section and the Chippenham section get quite a bit of publicity because of all the work that's going on there, and obviously it's a high population in those areas. But here we're in a very rural area, although you probably hear some very fast electric trains whizzing through because we're close to the Great Western Main Line coming out of Swindon towards London. And that was one of the reasons for the canal's downfall. But if you want to check out the other videos in this series, then you can always go onto my canals playlist, and I'll link to a couple of them at the end of this video as well. So that's looking back towards the Vale of the White Horse, and I think I'll probably do a separate video about that. I'll drive up there. It's about 1.5 miles outside the village. Just drive up there. You've got the Ridgeway long distance footpath that goes across the top of it, so that should be landing on the channel soon. However, I think our canal is actually just up here with a line of the trees, and over in that direction is something called Uffington Gorse. See where the Copse trees are over there, and that's where the Wilts Berks volunteers have been working recently, because there's been quite a few trees that have fallen down during the winter storms. And there's our wonderful Wilts Berks Canal. It's partially restored, this area here. It certainly is in water, as you can see, but that's not surprising considering how wet it's been over the winter time. We're looking back towards the direction of Shrivenham, Swindon, Chippenham, and where it connects up to the Wilts Berks. No, this is the Wilts Berks towards the Kennet and Irvine Canal. And if I turn around 180 degrees, that's looking back in the other direction towards places like Wantage, and then heading on towards the River Thames, Abingdon upon Thames. And that there is the Great Western Main Line. Swindon to the left, Didcot, Reading and London Paddington to the right. So I'm going to see if I can follow it along here through this Kissing Gate and other gate, and follow the line of the canal close as we can to the original towpath, around to Uffington Gorse, and then join back up and loop back round to the village again. Now the other thing to say here, the obvious thing, is where I was giving you that 180 degrees turn around looking at the canal, there originally would have been a humpback bridge there carrying it over, which obviously will need to be replaced if and when this section reopens at some point in the future, but no remnants of said bridge around here today, unfortunately. That's interesting that there's a footbridge over the Great Western Main Line there. That looks almost brand new. Perhaps it was put in during electrification works when this line was electrified. I'm not too sure, but yeah, so this is the continuation of the footpath I've been heading out of Uffington. So you can carry on and then walk over the main line into the hamlets and villages that lie on the other side of it. Now at this point here I'm going to have to just recheck the old maps, because I've come over where the humpback bridge would have been over the canal, so that's our canal going there. And there's a ... not a right of way, going along this side, so kind of the northern side of the Wilts Berks, which may have been the original towpath side of the canal, but I'm not sure. However, on the southern side there is a new public right-of-way which isn't actually marked on the map, so that's the one I'm going to be taking today. Yes, so this through here, across a little ditch there, is a brand new right-of-way, which is great. Don't get many of those, so we'll utilise it, make the most of it. As I said, it looks like there was a path the other side which wasn't a right-of-way that people may have used, so let's follow along here, walking parallel to the canal, and see where it takes us to. Just before I do that though, I'm on the Kissing Gate at the moment, just to say that the continuation of the canal in this direction, heading back in the direction of Swindon and Shrivenham, it goes to a place called the Wharf, and the road there, which would have originally gone over the canal, is called Wharf Road, so there was a side of the road, wharf there. As I drove through it though, I could see no remains of a wharf there, or indeed the canal at that location, unfortunately. Well, this is interesting here. So I was following the path, following it in that direction, but it then tells me to turn left across this bridge, which is, well, newish, probably maybe 10-15 years old, across the canal, which will then pick up the path which runs to the north of it. So that's odd, isn't it? But again, that isn't marked on the map, so let's just do that thing. Let's cross over this bridge over the Wilts Berks, which obviously is not an original bridge, but it looks like there is another bridge, again not original when the canal opened, which runs parallel to it. Looks like it was a farmer's access bridge. So that's what we're looking at the moment. Mainline railway over there. I'm standing on the top of the canal on this bridge. Gate, Kissing Gate through there. Newish, as I say, probably 10, 15 years old, maybe a little bit more. But running next to that is this much, much older bridge there. Looks like it's made of some rails from the railway at some point when they replaced them. But obviously that's not fit for use now, but it was probably used, as I say, for a farmer to get a cart across the canal when it closed. When did it close? Well, it kind of fell out of disuse towards the end of the 18th century, and of course one of the reasons for that is the aforesaid railway that you can see there. And Uffington had its own railway station. Now I'm not sure if it's near the location of where that footbridge is or whether it's further towards the west. I'll look at an old map and see where that is. I don't think there's any remains of it whatsoever though. But so that closed in 1964, courtesy of Dr. Beeching. Now, unlike other sections of the Wilts and Berks that we've covered here on West Country Wanderings, there's been interpretive boards in those, and they've been markers. We've had finger posts I've seen in Swindon and in Royal Wootton Bassett. But there's nothing here, there are no signs here to tell you that this is the Wilts and Berks Canal. And I think the reason for that is that the Trust aren't yet ready to promote this because of the work that still needs to be done, although it's good to see improved signage and access with rights of way and what looks like quite new kissing gates and access, so it's easy to actually get to walking, apart from the fields being wet after the winter. This section here from the beautiful village of Uffington, so it's well worth exploring if you're like me interested in canals and seeing their legacy. But they have started to do some clearance work. We're heading across now towards Uffington Gorse where that work has been taking place. Unfortunately, we've come across a gate here, which you can open, but it's not a right of way, so I don't feel comfortable proceeding any further from here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head back to my car in the village of Uffington, see if I can drive around to Uffington Gorse and the wood there. But you can see again that there would have been a bridge here. That's the canal, both sides of that here, but the bridge was obviously levelled and they've just got this strip of land which has now infilled the canal at this point, sadly. And like I always do with my Wilts and Berks canal videos, and also likewise with my Cotswold Canals videos, I'll link to the Trust's website in the description of today's video. Also to let you know, there is a branch, an active branch, I think it's called West Vale, which looks after this section heading east from the large town of Swindon in the direction of Reading, going across here, the Vale of the White Horse, near to Uffington, and of course near Wantage as well, where we looked at that branch previously, and that wonderful sack house there, which is open some certain days. Check out the website for that if you want to have a look inside the sack house there at Wantage here in Oxfordshire. And the other thing to say, of course, is that they're always looking for volunteers, for new blood if you like, to help restore all of the section between Symington right through to Abingdon and the River Thames. You can help with that in any way, they'll be very, very grateful. And you can help in lots of different ways. So please get in contact with the Trust. And also if you can help with donations and being a member of the Trust as well, they'd be very grateful for that. And I'd also like to thank all of the volunteers for the Wilts and Berks Canal Trust for all the hard work that they do restoring sections. It's a bit of a thankless task sometimes. I saw that one of their boats had been, I think it's called Nonsuch, at Royal Wootton Bassett, was broken into a few weeks ago. That was really sad. All the fundraising they've had for that to start running boat trips around there. Something we'll look at in the future. We've had a trip on Dragonfly, haven't we? Out of Swindon previously. But yeah, I'd like to thank them for all the hard work and just to let them know it really does make a difference. From the feedback I get on my channel about my canal series videos, there's a lot of you that watch my channel very appreciative of canals in terms of getting out into walks and enjoying nature and that sort of thing. So it's good that they're restored and people have rights of way access, like we've seen with Air. Got a new section of right of way, though sadly it doesn't go all the way through to Uffington Gorse, but hopefully it will do one day, and be a walkable section of the towpath, but it's still good to see it here in the county of Oxfordshire. So let's head back to Uffington now, and I'll meet you back round at Uffington Gorse. So this is Uffington Gorse, which is a strange name because it's actually a woodland. It was originally part of the Woodland Trust, and it was leased back to the Wilts Berks Canal Trust just a few years ago. I do apologise, I may have said the East Vale group, voluntary group. I actually meant the West Vale, which is based at Shrivenham. There's like a waterway centre there and a small stretch of the canal. Perhaps we'll look at that in a future video. So yes, West Vale look after this section, not East Vale, which is, I believe, the section that looks after around Abingdon and Wantage. But yeah, really nice section here, and you can see the work that's been cleared here recently. But I got something interesting just to show you behind me. That's one of the roads that head out of the village of Uffington, just through the trees there, and there would have been a humped backed bridge here originally carrying said road over the canal. But here we can actually make out part of the original brickwork of that bridge here, and they've been doing some digging around here, the volunteers of the West Vale, to attain that. Looks like they've actually found very old bottle there, and they've been digging down here as well, and they found quite a bit in the pit down here. So the bridge would have gone here, rather the line of the canal would have gone through there underneath the road. And you can see all these old bottles down here. I wonder, originally after the canal closed, I think it's probably quite likely that this was probably used as the village's tip, and all the rubbish from the village was dumped here on the then closed Wilts Berks Canal. Some more very old bottles just dotted around here, glassware and pottery as well. So we're going to make our way down there to have a better look at this section of the Wilts Berks Canal. Now, the Wilts Berks Canal Trust specifically bought the long-term lease off the Woodland Trust here to restore this section of the canal. I think there might be a little car park over that way, but it's locked at the moment. I think that might only be for the volunteers, but maybe that might be opened as a feature for visitors to walk alongside this section of canal when it's fully restored. Well, it looks like we can follow part of the towpath here though. Apologise for the noise of the aircraft here. We're not that far away from USAF Fairford. So Farringdon, Lechlade upon Thames, Fairford, it's all fairly close to this part of Oxfordshire. So there's lots of planes flying over, apologise for that. But you can see here the canal is in a much deeper cutting than what we saw back just to the north of the village of Uffington, here on the eastern flank of it. And this section was actually built up when the canal was constructed here in 1810. They actually put a lot of spoil here to raise the towpath section up, and it was dug deeper in there for reasons I'm not entirely sure, perhaps because of the land flooding hereabouts, but it just makes it level and connects up with the section further to the west. Now, as you can see, one of the problems here is that the towpath doesn't exactly run in a straight line because of all the fallen trees, and one of the projects with the West Vale here at Uffington at the moment is to clear a lot of these fallen trees, as I said, which fell during the storm, some of them. So here is the line of the Wilts Berks Canal here at Uffington Gorse. Nice and quiet, well, apart from when a lorry or plane isn't going overhead. But yeah, once this is fully restored, you can imagine just what a super section it will be. Now, the towpath itself is actually banked up here on the right, but it's blocked by fallen trees at the moment. There is this makeshift footpath which is just following along the edge of the canal, but again, due to all the heavy rain that we've had, it does make it a little bit tricky to follow. It's actually a very, very pleasant woodland in its own right, just running alongside the Wilts Berks Canal here in Oxfordshire. It's actually bigger than I thought it would be. So the West Vale Branch have got a little container here, blue container, for all the equipment for helping to maintain this woodland and to dig out and maintain the section of the canal here. So if you can help any way, either here or any of the 52-mile section between Melksham to Uffington, then please contact the Trust using the link in the description. So that's looking back to where the little containers are. Perhaps they bring their own cars here that are volunteering. That bit there, but if I just spin you around 180 degrees, you can see just how much work they've done here, because all these trees have been cleared recently. And I think they actually meet here on Wednesdays. Today's a Tuesday, so I think they're probably meeting here tomorrow, but it won't be tomorrow by the time you watch this video. But contact them for further information. But yeah, there's our wonderful Wilts Berks Canal, looking very green, of course, because there's no flow of water on it at the moment. So that's the Wilts Berks Canal here, Uffington. What a delightful spot this is. The other section that I showed you earlier in the video, which you can visit on the right of way that I showed you, isn't actually owned by the Wilts Berks Canal Trust at the present time, so they're not actively restoring that bit at the moment, but hopefully they'll be able to acquire it in the future. But it's good to see that work is taking place here. So that's it for today here on West Country Wanderings in my canal series, looking at another section of the Wilts Berks Canal here in Oxfordshire, the beautiful village of Uffington in the Vale of the White Horse. There'll be another video in the canal series, not too distant future. It'll be one of my secrets of section of the Copse Canal, looking at another section of the Stroud Water Canal. And I'm also hoping to go down to Devon to do another section of the Grand Western Canal that we've not yet covered here on the channel. So I hope you can join me for that again on West Country Wanderings. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye for now.